2, 1. Hello, welcome to the Flow Show. Sarah DiFelice here, and we have
Tim Glover
over there.
Here.
We're separate today. Tim's about to go on a vacation, but we have a Flow Show. We're going to talk about oopsing. Stay tuned. So yesterday, there's our intro back. Good dancing clock. So yesterday, Tim and I were out in the forest shooting our ad video for Exciting Offering, and we thought we'd share it because it prefaces what oopsing is all about. And
yes.
We haven't actually watched it back ourselves, so we're going to watch it back with you. Here we go. I'm going to add it, and hopefully the audio works, everything's fine. Here we go. It's just 2.5 minutes. Are you oopsing?
Oopsing.
What's oopsing?
Oopsing. You spell it O-O-P-S. Owning other people's stuff. Sometimes call it owning other people's shit. And here's the challenge. Post-pandemic, even pre-pandemic, but post-pandemic, everyone on the planet has elevated fear levels. And you as a leader, you know that your job historically is to carry your organization forward. So you own the fear. Right now, it's overwhelming fear on the planet. And there's so many people that are actually suffering from this. It's just an amazing phenomenon.
Yeah. How do we know? We've been there. We're leaders. We've got so many skill sets and ideas about how to make change. And we're particularly interested in business. And in our coming together, we have enabled one another to realize just how much we've been oopsing to get outside of what we're calling a performance box. We're performance architects. My name's Sarah DiFelice.
My name's Tim Glover.
And I am a yoga instructor. And I've also spent a lot of time in the corporate world and seeing this need to bring new mechanics, what we're calling mechanics of being, into the business world during this time when many of us are oopsing and staying stuck, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stuck in a box, and not knowing how to move forward.
Oopsing is a phenomenon that we refer to as it's really impacting your bandwidth, your capacity to be able to go and make decisions that stick, identify strategy, problem solving, and most importantly, navigation. Right now, the problem is how do you navigate a complex environment if you're actually carrying absolutely everybody and their cousin on your back? So we've helped, my name's Tim Glover. Did I say Tim Glover already?
I don't know, but now you did.
Tim Glover, and I've been a performance architect for about 27 years, and we've helped big businesses and small businesses learn how to get outside the performance box, stop oopsing, and start to perform way outside their weight class. And so we've helped businesses small and big, very small and very big, help improve performance in dramatic ways using the mechanics of being, which is more behavioral.
Yes, and we feel that every business needs to implement these mechanics of being. We've created a free webinar, which you can click on the link below and join us for more information on what these mechanics of being are all about, a little bit more on oopsing and how you can expand your bandwidth capacity to achieve previously impossible results outside of the box.
Look forward to reconnecting.
See you there.
Oh my gosh, I'm even more excited now that I get a chance. I saw that.
That was fun. That was us doing our first structured, you got to follow these rules ad, because we like riffing, as we've said.
Yes, as possibly anyone who's watching these programs knows, we can go for days. So the thing that I think that really, really sticks for me going on right this second, and again, we had the opportunity to spend some time together, quite a bit of time over the last few days doing these advertisements and then actually reviewing strategy. And then we had the opportunity also to watch that video, which was the social dilemma. And it was
the social dilemma on Netflix. Has anybody seen it?
Yeah, if you can flash something across the bottom, go social dilemma.
Yeah, sure.
That is an amazing film. It was produced by Netflix, and it's a number of techie digital visionaries who actually started this whole tech revolution, 10 years ago. And they're talking about what a challenge they've created. And they didn't mean to create this challenge, but it's making it really, really difficult to actually move forward. And it actually, to our mind, is exactly what we came together for, Sarah and I, in building the Flow Network, and it is an amazing opportunity to be able to actually start to learn how to move from outside to inside. So that particular show really woke us both up to, oh my gosh, there's now available to everybody. You can actually start to actually look into the things that we've been talking about for a year and a half, but there's been no research on this really. There's some cognitive distance. No one talks about like the emotional, another word for oops. So I just read my blog here.
Okay.
So
I was just going to say, I think that there's been a lot of research, but it's kind of been fragmented, and it seems like there's a convergence of we're all seeing all these different problems converging at once, and we're all in this place of like, okay, things need to change. But yes, read your brilliant a blog on oopsing that we're yet to post online, but it will be on there.
So you know what, you raise an exceptionally important point, is that what has happened in our society is because of how we've evolved as human beings, we've evolved to actually believe that the only world that exists is the world out there. And the way we've evolved the business world is a function of the way we evolved science, which is the function of the way we evolved education, which put us all in these silos. So it's not so much a fat box, it's a really skinny box we're all in. So we lack the ability to actually look outside our discipline. So the highest education a person can get in the education world is the PhD. And the PhD is someone who actually is in such a skinny, tiny little box that it's a silo. And they know everything they need to know or could know about paper. And when paper actually ignites at a certain temperature and you smell that too much, and then you get it bothers your sinuses, whatever. That's not a great example, but the point being is that the research is such that everybody that's got a PhD actually is at the top of the pyramid in the education system. Now, PhDs in medicine do not talk to PhDs in biology, who do not talk to PhDs in macroeconomics, who do not talk to, so nobody talks to anybody in the education system. And so to your point, which was a brilliant point, we're so fragmented, and we're trying to figure out as a society what's going on with digital technology, and why are we having so many people challenged with mental health, and so many people actually, under the gun and what we call oopsing. Mm-hmm. So it's in this particular blog, I just point out the fact that we have different groups of people calling it different things. Neuroscience call it oops, neural entrainment. So we have our brain waves actually get entrained with each other. Psychologists refer to it as emotional contagion. So you can, it's contagious. If I'm actually in a great mood, or if I'm in a crappy mood, I can walk into a room and I can change the room. Alternatively, if I'm in a good mood and I walk into a room where there's a whole lot of people that are really upset, I feel that. It's contagious. So it's emotional contagion. Mainstream science referred to oops as groupthink. So when they were talking about the shuttle, I can't remember which shuttle blew up, Apollo 13, I think. And so they talked about the idea that they knew the O-rings were wrong and there was some problem, but groupthink, oopsing, and the constraint of time forced them to all come together. And the people who actually weren't part of the group or didn't feel like they were part of the group didn't say anything. We had all the astronauts die. We had biologists identified this as the mirror neuron. So it's this neuron that sits in the head that allows us to be empathic. And I think in spiritual realms, they say that some people are empaths and some aren't. We all are empaths. Yes. Every single one of us is empaths. And we can actually, empathic is hearing, actually, I don't even know what the specific definition is. I think empathics, the way they define it, is you can actually hear or feel or see things that other people can't. Well, we all can do that. Dogs hear and feel things that are at higher frequencies than we can actually experience. And that's also true of, I understand, with whales, as well as with dolphins, as well as other mammals. That's the way they communicate. So all of these disciplines, and there's even more that I've isolated over here. But the point is because of the way science has been set up, and because the education system is such that it is, no one's talking to anybody. and they don't know how to, like you go and it takes you whatever 15 years to get a PhD. Actually, you go through the school, and then you want to get a PhD in biology, then you want to get the PhD in astrophysics, and you want to get a PhD. Well, then you're dead because you don't have enough time to have a life. So it is a natural barrier to people understanding the phenomena of oops, and it's impacting absolutely everybody every second of the day. And I can attest to the fact that it's something that I worked like crazy on because I'm so sensitive. I'm so sensitive to energy, and as a musician and artist, that's something I could never really figure out. Like, what's with me that I'm so sensitive to this kind of stuff? Start to get mentally tough, Tim.
Yeah, I remember when we first started doing Facebook Lives together, you would feel the energy through, just not
just live on.
Just the live on, not, maybe there's nobody even watching, but the idea that in the future people watch the replays and just how entangled all of our energy really is. And yes, being sensitive, we're all sensitive. It's just to what degree are we aware of that sensitivity? And I was just looking through on our YouTube page because we had I can't remember when, so I was just trying to find it. We did a flow show on what's the energy you bring to the internet. And, so this whole oopsing is all to say the world is made of energy, and we all have this communication that isn't necessarily something as taught in the education system, just how entangled we all are and just how much we communicate beyond our words, which is something that we also talk about often. I'm just trying to bring up, but you go if you have something you wanted to say.
Well, I was just saying, just before, like you and I have this experience. I have this experience with my wife. I have this experience with other people. I can actually feel when you're actually going to call or when you actually get some kind of an insight. We were just talking about something just before we went live, and you had a sensation around my son, and reaching out with something, a communication. And I was saying, geez, I just got this email from my son, talking about, all the wonderful books and cool things that he actually researches and is really into. And they're very, very aligned with who I am. Yes. And so we can feel each other. And I found it with you. I found it with my wife, Sharon. A lot of times you actually start to think about something and I can hear what you're going to say in advance of it. So I have a bad habit of jumping in and answering the question before you actually ask the question, yes. Which can be annoying. I recognize. Yes. And I've had Sharon say, okay, so what was I going to ask? And I'll be able to, okay, but what was the specifics that I was going to ask about that? Well, it was this, and then usually if I go long enough, I mess it up. She said, okay, so then you have to let me talk. But we are all empathic, and it is also how we access intuition in higher realms of breakthrough insight.
Right. Hi, Dave is joining us saying,
hey, Dave.
Feeling what you're talking about here, I struggle with the collective rays of emotions and fears.
Right.
Right. And this is, as we talk about in our modules that we're releasing, is exactly this notion. And you helped me so much understand even this notion of a bandwidth capacity and what that means to have high capacity and the responsibility involved with this. And, just because there is so much more fear on the planet, especially, I live right downtown Toronto. So the density of people and the density of energy, it becomes essential to have practices and mechanics in place to be able to stay as your sovereign self versus being mixed up with, just everything.
Yeah. You had mentioned, and it was such a brilliant, again, you're just being brilliant all over the place. I don't know where you saw it, but you said the more virtual we are.
Oh yeah. This brilliant quote, in the article actually that you sent me that was with the Social Dilemma documentary. So I can't remember who said it, but it so spoke to me. The more virtual we get, the more ritual we need.
Yeah.
Which is.
Can you explain that? So just so our viewers can actually even get a better understanding what ritual means in that circumstance and why that would be important.
Yeah, so for me, ritual is all about bringing us into the present moment with intention of how we use our energy. And staying present becomes key in terms of just the awareness of how we even are being in the moment and what energy we are having in the moment, and to be able to discern, is this energy that I'm feeling me? And if so, I need to spend time with this and really listen to what it's asking of me, or is this energy not me? And this is the thing we dive deeper into in our modules of the little nuances there. But ultimately, it's about awareness. And a ritual is just simply to honor the moment with the energy and the intention that you bring to whatever it is that you do. And so, even as an example, when we recorded our ad videos, and even when any video that we do, and pretty much we're all involved in ritual with everything we do at this point. But just as an example, when we did our ad video, we set the intention for who it is that we are looking to reach, what it is that we are actually doing and why we're doing it. And we, invoke a certain type of energy and set the space for ourselves and the space for our viewers as well. And so for me, that's really powerful of energy. Yes.
Thank you for that, because being a legacy, like I'm a little bit older than Sarah, so I'm the legacy part of this. You're the next gen leaders. I'm the legacy leaders. It reminds me, especially listening to how articulate you are in explaining this idea of ritual. When I'm working, I've been working with businesses to help with performance for 25, 27 years or something like that. They call that strategy. So, but they don't call it strategy. But they don't really in going to market or just even having a strategy. They actually break it down. So it's tactics, and then the idea is with actually going and reflecting on tactics. You don't reflect from your heart. You reflect from your head. So what are the 10 things I have to do that were part of the one thing that was over here, which is a subset of this other thing, and it was a subset of a strategy, and it was a subset of and so what happens and is happening like crazy in business, we're forced out of our body and into our head. And when we're in our head, if you're not doing ritual to get back into your body, you're going to be wiped out by oops. It's not like it is from my perspective, it is the driver of mental health. It's the driver of disease. It is the driver of everything. And the challenge is your body can only take so much dissonance, and then it starts to break down. And it is a function of growing up in this world with oops. And we are at an unprecedented point in history in the combination with what is revealed in the social dilemma, that what happens with Facebook and Reddit and Pinterest and all the implications in terms of really pounding us with feedback to be able to go and stimulate us outside of our conscious understanding of what's going on. So we are being oopsed, and it's triggering the other component of this, which is unconscious bias. And our unconscious bias is actually starting to drive our behavior in ways that are not so nice. So we're actually getting triggered with the fear response, which is why we chose the flow response and flow network conscious.
Yes, very consciously. And that's just it. And as someone who was even unaware of just how much I was not living in my body, like I would, float out and just kind of not occupy my full body. You were actually just a great help in even bringing that awareness. I thought that I had this awareness. I'm a yoga instructor. I do Qigong like crazy. And yet, especially being downtown Toronto and the density, it's literally every single moment of being present and fully in the body. And so again, having practices becomes key, because when your whole awareness is embodied in your physical body, that's how we solve the problem of oopsing. And there's a few techniques that we share with our clients about that, because it is easier said than done. That's for sure.
Yeah. We've been having those conversations as an intellectual concept. Yes. This skill set and this way of being, what we call the mechanics of being, are starting to get some legs and starting to get some airtime. People are talking about this. Mm-hmm. But having practiced this stuff for 30 years, it's very easy to be able to go and listen to someone who's talking about it from an intellectual standpoint, but not actually being it.
Yeah.
And the gift in that is to be able to actually always bring yourself back into your center and into your own counsel. So you can stay in your own power as opposed to leaving your body and giving your power away. And the more fear there is, because you remind me, the more fear there is, the more it triggers our own unconscious bias, the more we leave our body.
Yeah.
So we have a whole population on the planet, and there's where we oops the most. And then sometimes we come back into our body, and then it starts to feel heavy, and we've even got disease, or we got some other stuff. So I go, forget it. I'm not going to go in here, and I go out again.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So it is a really magnificently big barrier to performance improvement. It's a big barrier to living a life. Like it's not. We're not meant to suffer. We're not meant to have such a difficult time navigating our life, but these are not skills that are actually available, except for, actually, the skill sets that I learned was esoteric practice and ancient ritual through, in my case, Zen Shiatsu therapy and understanding energy management and starting to understand that when you're in a room of 30 people and everyone's oopsing all over the place and yelling and screaming, you do not forget that experience.
Yeah, you don't forget that experience.
Yeah, there's nothing better than firsthand experience when you're looking around. You can feel the terror going around the room, and you got people getting up and running and jumping and freaking and all, and you go, "Oh my God, am I in a B movie or a C movie? This is crazy." Well, that's how I learned about this.
Yeah, and this is really the premise of what we've been calling the Big Pivot, which we have. I can just put it up here. We have a 6-part series on the Big Pivot, which is something that we filmed and created right as the quarantine was being invoked. So that's something that's speaking to this big pivot from living from the world of this notion of outside in, and giving our power to the outside and how that changes and creates our biases inside of ourselves, to how we can and how we need to, and this is the world moving forward as conscious creators and creative leadership, as we talk about, and this transformational economy. The transformation is getting in touch inside, and instead of checking out, we're checking in, and we are, owning our power and allowing ourselves to transform in this way. Dave has a comment here. I don't know if the whole thing will show up, so I'll read it over here. Oh, it will.
Oh yeah, good.
So I believe that if there's a negative emotion that is felt in the body, it means there's a particular pattern or wound that is not healed fully. Yes. It could be that we felt it empathically, and it doesn't mean it's ours to own either. If it is healed fully, then the other thing it could be is that we are not stepping in fully and embodying a higher frequency, like presence, joy, or peace, even in the presence of others' negative emotions. How does this resonate with you guys?
Yeah, I'm all over that. The interesting thing, which your comment suggests strongly, is that if we're saying, oops, we're owning other people's stuff. This is the discussion Sarah alluded to.
Yes, the little nuance.
So oops, for our audience, oops is premised on the idea, because it's the mental idea that we're separate. So we're owning other people's stuff. Mm-hmm. But we actually, our whole practice is to actually take people from this duality and being separate to unity. So your comment, Dave, is exactly on the money. All depending on where you are on that continuum, that bridge from duality to unity, you're actually going to feel and be resonant inside with what's going on with other people. And so you're going to start healing, if you will. You're not just going to start healing for yourself. You're going to start to heal for everybody else who's actually resonant with that. So then you create what's called a coherent system. And that coherence actually is the internal network effect, which is the whole reason we called, where's my fingers? I got to actually figure out this one. There, the flow network. The flow network is to actually honor the fact that digital technology folks have been working what's called the external network effect, which is the idea of a distribution system. So it's something you're actually building so that customers actually buy your stuff and you can constantly communicate with them. And that's what we have with digital technology. What we're talking about is the internal network effect, which is what you alluded to.
Yes. which
you
is
didn't need to, you actually nailed it, like in your language. That's exactly it. So that's the journey we take people on from what we're calling, duality. They go through 3 phases, and oh my gosh, we got all kinds of stuff on that. And this is what we're so excited about going to market, because with the pandemic, this phenomena is going, I believe, is going to shut down leaders. It's just going to shut down leaders, especially of mid-sized to large businesses, who are then going to actually go into mental toughness and have to grit it through. And that's going to create its own problems, and it's likely going to create civil unrest, possibly even worse than that. So what we're looking to do is get out in front and educate people on the impact of that and how to actually unplug, which you said, then actually attune to higher frequencies. If you're looking at the scale of the consciousness, which is Dr. David Hawkins, which I'm going to guess you know about, you're actually at the higher levels of peace and then presence eventually. So
those type of leaders, and that's why we reference the next gen leaders, are those that have practiced this and have understood this. They will become the ones that are rising and stepping forward and holding that higher frequency space of this notion of unity. And this is something that, again, is easy to understand intellectually. Like, yeah, we're all one, but what does that actually really look like, feel like? This is something completely new we're stepping into as a species, as we are evolving in this space of, duality, living on a dualistic world where we can be stuck in the good and bad and all the different dualistic nature of life. And instead stepping into unity. And this is the call to what the big pivot is about. This is the call for transformation, is really, really understanding, not just at an intellectual level, we're all one, but at a being level, we are all one. And then how we create these interdependent relationships with one another in order to thrive and grow and create new systems on this planet. So people like yourself, Dave, who have this understanding that, yes, it's owning other people's stuff, but then the nuance being that we're all connected. So if it's
your stuff,
it's resonant with you, it's your stuff. And ultimately, it's just about not owning it. It's about having the awareness that, hey, this is something I'm experiencing. And we've been doing the whole open up the hatchet and let it flow through, as one of our practices that we'll give away in this moment, is just literally when you own it, or you judge it, or you try to cling to it, it sticks to you and you continue to perpetuate that scenario.
You attract more and more and more and more of it.
Yes, yes, yes. So we have Diana, who you know as well. Hi, Diana, saying yes, yes. So, yeah. And Diana being another one of these types of leaders who has this understanding. And so it is exciting, because there's a lot of, I feel like leaders such as you, Tim, who've been very sensitive, and some of our audience members basically who understand this forward thinking. Some viewers watch our show and think, what the heck are they talking about? But what we are talking about really is forward thinking in terms of mainstream. And now's the time for these types of leaders to really rise and step forward and understand that this is exactly what we need and who we need, with their voices and with their beingness, showing up and leading in this way as we move through tumultuous times in the world out there.
Yeah, the implications are massive, because the leaders, the legacy leaders, and the leadership structure, and then how digital has actually reinforced that structure, is going to change. It is in the process of changing dramatically, and it's going to have to transform. And the leaders who are actually going to emerge are the leaders like yourselves that are tuning into this and actually have some understanding of what that's about. And the future, it will look very, very different if we can actually get through this particular jump point right now, because this is going to be binging people's buttons. Like, this is going to be binging people's buttons. And you look at China, Russia, those two in particular, and even what's going on in the Middle East. If you're not aware of oops, you're going to get fairly frantic and fairly crazy pretty quickly. And you're looking for someone else who actually goes and dings your buttons to actually say, yes, I've had enough of that. And that's what digital technology is doing such a good job of, especially Facebook can actually create uprisings in Myanmar or Cameroon or all around the world in literally days. And this is big reason why Sarah and I got together a year and a half ago to say, okay, we got to put something out there that acts as a format and a forum for interdependent leadership, and then provide people with the tools, the skills, and also ways of actually score tracking and trending themselves subjectively so that they can actually stay on point. That's the ritual of self-assessment, to actually make sure that you're staying grounded, you're actually staying present, because it's going to be easier and easier and easier to get pulled off. Like, it's going to become, I really do believe this is nothing at this point. Like, this is, scale from 1 to 10, this is like a 1.
Yeah. And also just to mention that we have our Flow Responders season 2 that we're in. So the first season was last summer when we got together and we were just going into tech and thinking, how can we start to bring this language into the business world? And so we're in our season 2 as well. And as we bring other leaders and businesses on board with this understanding, they will become intertwined in this episode. And it's what I'm calling a mini docu-series, basically, where we are redefining leadership and we are demonstrating in action, in flow, interdependence and community coming together. And my passion as well in terms of creating video, and it's just been a lot of fun. So, because yes, we are in for interesting times, and I agree with you that we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call for a wrap because I want to get in the car and drive up north because
you got a vacation, and we've been trying to keep these short. We're already at 31:31.
31:31. So there you go.
31. So have a great vacation, Tim. You deserve
it. Thank you. And everybody who's listening, have a great life until we talk again. And I'm really excited about the advertisement and then the offering that we're actually building, because prior to the pandemic, it was difficult to actually triangulate around a performance problem, because people couldn't sense what it is we saw coming. Now we have the pandemic. We go, okay. It's a lot easier to actually be able to go and triangulate around the fact that, that's actually going to cause you a little bit of a challenge. So very exciting about what the near-term future holds for those of us who are actually coming together interdependently as the internal network effect, or the flow network.
The flow internal network effect. And it is really those leaders that understand that there is great opportunity in crisis. And so it is our time to shine and step forward. And so this is why we are excited.
Yes.
All right, Tim and everybody. We'll see you next week. Have
Flover
a great Flover and out.